Today we left off with the hepatic cells, or the liver cells. They produce that green slimy fluid that will go to the digestive system. What is it that the hepatic lobes secrete again? Bile. So the bile will get secreted into the bile canal, or the canaliculi, and then the bile will flow out of the canaliculi down the bile ducts. In the liver, all of the bile ducts actually merge together to form either the right hepatic duct or the left hepatic duct. That's where we left off with. The right and left hepatic duct, they actually merge together to form one duct right here. So in your picture, there is a label. You might be able to see it still. And that's going to be our number 7. So right where the right and left hepatic ducts merge together, I'm going to draw a line for number 7. So where the right and left hepatic duct merge together is number 7. Number 7 is our common hepatic duct. So down below in green pen, I'm going to write 7 common hepatic duct. The common hepatic duct is right where the right and left hepatic ducts merge together. So the description for this one is it collects bile from the right and left hepatic ducts. Now, the bile that's produced by the liver ultimately is going to head to the small intestine, but its function is to help break down with lipids. If you are not eating anything and you don't have any lipids to break down, then the bile will not go to your small intestine. So we actually have 2 routes that the bile can travel through. So if we go back to the picture above, if you just ate something and bile is needed in the digestive system, then the bile will go from the right, left hepatic duct, down the common hepatic duct, and then finally down to this tube. In your picture, you might be able to see it a little bit better. There's a tube that veers off to the right of the liver. That's the alternate route, but since we're going to the small intestine first, you would take this route here. This duct would go straight to the small intestine. This is going to be our number 8 right here. So the tube that leads to the small intestine is number 8. And down below, we're going to write number 8 in green. Number 8 is going to be our common bile duct. Now, the common bile duct will collect bile from the common hepatic duct, which we just mentioned, or another option is the alternate route, which is the cystic duct, which we'll mention in a bit. And the bile will go from the common hepatic duct or cystic duct to the small intestine. Once the bile makes its way to the small intestine, the function of the bile is to help enzymes break down lipids.
And cystic, is that an O or a C?
That's a C, sorry. Cystic. S-C-Y-S-T-I-C. So the bile is supposed to help enzymes break down lipids. Does anybody remember what is the name of the enzyme that will actually break down lipids?
Lipase.
The lipase. So lipase plus bile will break down lipids. Okay. Some people, though, they have an issue where they don't have a lot of bile being produced, or they can't have a lot of bile produced. So if you are a person who doesn't have a lot of bile being produced, then that means you're going to have a hard time breaking down lipids. So you're going to have to end up making a few lifestyle changes and you're going to have to restrict your diet a little bit. What would you have to cut out of your diet? Anything fatty, because you wouldn't be able to break it down very well. Okay. Oh, most, yeah. So if we go back up here to the image, you only need bile really if you are trying to break down something that has lipids. So the liver is constantly making bile regardless of whether or not you just ate. So let's pretend like today you skipped lunch. Your liver is still going to make bile, but there's nothing to break down. So if bile isn't needed in the small intestine, it'll actually get stored in the gallbladder. So there's a tube on the side of the common bile duct that leads to the gallbladder, and that tube is called the cystic duct. So I'm going to use my green color pencil and color in the cystic duct. So that's going to be our number 9. So number 9 is our cystic duct. So below in green, I'm going to write 9, cystic duct. And so the description for cystic duct is if excess bile is produced, then bile will go through here, the cystic duct, to the gallbladder. So if bile is being made but you don't actually need it, that bile is going to have to come back up to the cystic duct into the gallbladder. So we're going to color in the gallbladder last. Green color pencil. The gallbladder is right underneath the liver there, under the right lobe. Just going to fill that in and then label number 10. And below in green, I'm going to write 10 is the gallbladder. And my description is gallbladder will store bile between meals. Gallbladder actually has another function, and it's actually supposed to absorb water out of the bile to make the bile a little more concentrated. What happens then is sometimes bile becomes too concentrated and it starts forming precipitates, which means you end up getting like large stones, not large, but stones inside of the gallbladder. And so if you've ever heard of gallstones before, that's actually because of bile kind of forming like little stones inside of the gallbladder. People who get those often, or if their gallbladder gets infected, they're going to have to remove their gallbladder. So you can actually live without one, but diet needs to be adjusted. Yep.
What about your